Topic today is the guardian of your soul. You look around, things are going on in the world today. I think you'll agree with me. It's pretty easy to live worried, upset, afraid. You watch the news and see the conflict between nations, between political parties, the natural disasters, the pandemics, the accidents. If that's not enough, we've got things going on in our own life that feel like they're a little bit beyond our power to control them. Aside from the things that are actually, we know factually are going on, we're always anxiety about what might happen. What if I get sick? What if my business doesn't make it? What if my child has an accident? And it's not to say that these concerns are not valid. In fact, if you were on your own having to deal with all this solo, I think you'd probably be pretty right to be deeply worried, deeply concerned. But the good news is that you're not in it by yourself. You have a protector, a vindicator, a defender, a rescuer, a deliverer. Your creator, your heavenly Father, your most high God is the guardian of your soul. When he breathed life into you, he didn't just put you on earth and say, good luck, you're on your own. Don't play with matches. Don't run in traffic. Watch out for snakes. He said, I'm going to guard you. If you keep me first place, I'm going to push back the forces of darkness. If you chant my holy name, I'm going to hide you if necessary from enemies. I'm going to shield you. You're my dear, most prized possession. I'm not going to let enemies lay a finger on you if you honor me, recognize me. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna promises, Tesam Aham Sumdhartha. I promise, for those who are my devotees, I will rescue them from every trap and protect them from enemies. They don't have to live afraid. Krishna, God, has a shield around his devotees. He knows how to keep harm at a distance. And even if harm comes, he knows how to heal you, to vindicate you, to restore you. He knows how to rescue you from every trap. Because the enemy doesn't have the final say. Krishna or God has the final say. Nothing or nobody can snatch you out of his hands if you've taken shelter there. Because you have turned to your Creator, and we do that by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have no idea how many dangerous situations he's protected us from. If we'd come along 5 minutes later on the freeway, we would have gotten into that terrible accident. If we had dissociated with someone, we would have picked up a lethal virus. We have no idea how many ways, forms, and shapes his protection has taken us. Maybe he kept that car from hitting you. He pushed back that sickness. He thwarted the plans of the enemy, moved people out of the way who would have been a bad influence on you. He has always had us in the palm of his hands. If you knew the things that he's already done for you, you wouldn't worry about the future that you're facing now. You'd live in peace, knowing that Krishna's got you covered. Here's a story in this connection. A wealthy English family once invited some friends to spend some time at their summer estate. It's a happy gathering, but it almost turned to tragedy on the very, very first day. The children went off to the swimming hole. One of them got into deep water and was drowning. Fortunately, the gardener was in the area. He heard the kids screaming. He plunged into the pool to rescue the helpless victim. And that young child's name, can anyone guess? Winston Churchill. That's only half the story, however. Winston Churchill's parents, they were so grateful to this gardener. They said, whatever you want, we will do our best to reward you. The gardener, after some hesitation, he said, well, I have a very intelligent son, but I don't have the means to educate him. So I wish that he could go to medical school. Churchill's parents said, we will pay his way. Fast forward, years later, Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of England. came down with a case of pneumonia. Now, in those days, pneumonia was always fatal because there were no antibiotics for it. The greatest physician in the land was summoned, came to the bedside of the ailing leader. That physician's name was Alexander Fleming, who had developed what? Penicillin. What else was it, can you guess by now? Or who else was it?
Was the gardener's son?
He was the son of the gardener who Churchill's parents had sent to medical school. In his typical eloquent, succinct way, Churchill later said, "Rarely has a man owed his life twice to the same person." The Bhagavad Gita says, those who serve the Lord, heart and soul, are in the palm of his hands. He's their guardian when they leave. He's their guardian when they stay. He's their guardian when they return. He's their guardian 24/7. You can't go anywhere without your guardian, Krishna, because he's in your heart. And that's why those who are surrendered to him live from a place of peace, live from a place of faith. Even though there's turmoil all around, people worried, sick, upset, those who know that they have the Lord of millions of universes in their heart and who's looking out for them, they live in peace. They know that nothing that happens to them is a surprise to the all-powerful Lord. Without him, not a blade of grass moves, not a little sparrow falls from the sky. Now, never did this God say that we wouldn't have trouble. Never did he say we wouldn't face challenges. Never did he promise that there wouldn't be enemies. But he does promise he'll rescue us from the enemies. He'll cure us from the disease. He'll free us from the challenges. He'll keep our enemies from taking us out. And he doesn't want us to live our lives worried about the future, afraid of what could happen. Krishna, our God, has a hedge of protection around his devotees, a bloodline that the enemy cannot cross. We read in the Mahabharata about the rival between Krishna's pure devotee Arjuna and the envious Karna, who sided with the enemies of the Pandavas, the Kauravas. Karna looked for Arjuna day after day in the battle. He had a full arsenal of weapons, any one of which could kill Arjuna. But as the chariot driver of Arjuna, Krishna made sure that every day Arjuna was in a different part of the battlefield than Karna was looking for him. This went on day after day. And Karna released his weapons one after another at other opponents. Finally, when Krishna wanted Karna to find Arjuna, Karna found Arjuna just like a moth finds the flame. So this battle raged between Karna and Arjuna. It's said in the Mahabharata, this epic, that there was a powerful celestial being who came to the battlefield. He was the son of Takshasha, and he bore great enmity towards Arjuna for having slain both his mother and his brother in the Kandava forest. And he saw this as an opportunity to take revenge, so he assumed the shape of an arrow, and he entered into Karna's quiver. Karna thought he'd expended all of his lethal weapons, but when the battle reached its peak, Karna thought he would pull one last arrow out of his quiver and release it with all of his might. Little did he realize that when he pulled that last weapon out of his quiver, it was no other than the celestial snake Naga. This snake, taking the form of Karna's arrows, could not be thwarted. He had been given a boon that to whomever he was targeting, that person would inevitably not be able to defend themselves. So this arrow was coursing across the sky like a bolt of lightning. Arjuna looked like he was done for. You know what Krishna did? Krishna put his foot on the floor of the chariot. He lent some of his weight on it, and the entire chariot sunk. You can imagine a hardened battleground in which chariots and elephants were driving. It might have started off as soft earth, but after 10 days of battle, you know how hardly packed that earth must have been, how dense it must have been. But Krishna is the Almighty Lord. He's that power which holds huge planets floating like little balls of cotton in space. So he pushed down on the chariot. The whole chariot sunk 2 feet into the earth. And so that lethal weapon missed Arjuna's head and hit his helmet. And it sent its helmet bouncing like crazy, smashing to thousands and thousands of pieces and dispersing itself for thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. What we learn from this is that even when you don't see a way, even when it looks impossible, Krishna has a way. Krishna can do that which is impossible for us. All we have to do is do our part. Honor the creator of millions of universes. When he created you, he put a special favor on you. When you have the shield of the Lord, when you have him as your power, no enemy can lay a hand on you. No weapon can be effective. One devotee said, in battle, metaphorically speaking, 1,000 may fall at my left, and 1,000 may fall at my right. And there may be 1,000 chasing me, and 1,000 before me, but no harm will come to me. What was this? He understood this principle, that what had happened to others would not happen to those who keep God first place. We keep in that favor and that shelter by saying the Lord's name on a regular, daily, consistent basis. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because God is close to you, evil can't get close to you. If you're bathed in the limelight of light, darkness cannot approach you. Harm can't get through the door. I don't know if you remember the rapper MC Hammer. He had a song called You Can't Touch This. I see that struck a chord. We need to see ourselves in the same way. Instead of forecasting doom and gloom, saying, oh, I knew it would happen. I knew it. I always get the short end of the stick. I never have the luck. We should go around thinking, you can't touch this. You can't touch me. I'm the servant of the Almighty God. My body is a temple of the Most High. I will live the full extent of my days engaged in the service of the Lord. When lack and struggle come, everybody else is saying, oh, I'm done for. I won't get ahead. But you announce, you can't touch this. Struggle, you can't touch this. Lack, you can't touch this. Sharp weapons, you can't touch this because the favor of God is on my life. You need to remind and repeat to yourself, I am untouchable to the enemy. Krishna never said that we wouldn't face sickness, we wouldn't face difficulty, we wouldn't face opposition, we wouldn't face betrayals. They're going to come. That's part of material life. But they don't have to stay. You don't have to answer the door to them. You don't have to invite them in. Give them something to drink. When they come to the door, you say, no thanks, you're not welcome here. I'm not accepting it. I'm not learning to live with it. I'm not claiming with my vocabulary, my sickness, my anxiety, my dysfunction, my addiction. It's not mine. My body is pure. My body is a temple of God. When sickness comes, when anxiety, when worry comes, that's on foreign territory. They don't belong there. Keep the door firmly closed to anything that's not helping you to get to where God wants you to go. Things will come. We're not asking you to stick your head in the sand and deny the facts. We're not asking you to deny the fact that there's illness. But neither do you have to accept it in your mind as your lot in life. Neither do you have to accept it as being a permanent part of your life. It's temporary. It comes to go. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Once in India reigned a king who upon his signet ring engraved a maxim true and wise, which if held before the eyes, given counsel at a glance, fit for every change and chance. Solemn words, and these were they. Even this will pass away. Fighting on a furious field, once a javelin pierced his shield. Soldiers with a loud lament bore him bleeding to his tent. Groaning from his tortured side, pain is hard to bear, he cried, but with patience day by day. Even this will pass away. Struck with palsy, wise and old, waiting in the gates of gold, said the king with his dying breath, life is done, but what is death? And in answer to the king fell a sunbeam on his ring, showing by a heavenly ray, even this will pass away. Rain falls on the land, it also falls on the water. Troubles come to those who are impious, troubles come to those who are pious. Difficulty comes to all of us in this material world. We're praying, we're believing, but it didn't work out our way. So the lesson is that when it rains, don't give up, don't discourage. Krishna knows what he's doing. He has a purpose for it. You just pass the test, keep the right attitude, and know that that rain is not going to stop those who are fixed in their consciousness. It's going to rather be a springboard for you to blossom, to take it to the next level. The enemy meant for that rain, that trouble, that betrayal to harm you, but the reason that God allowed it is so that he could bring you out better off than you were before. Well, true, I'll probably get the measles that are going around. I always have the bad breaks. True, I don't think my business is going to make it. My children are running with the wrong crowd. True, I don't know what to do. The first thing you do is zip it up. Don't audibilize it. Don't speak it out loud. You're sending out gold engraved invitations to sickness, dysfunction, trouble, and addiction. If you're going to activate God's protection, then you have to be careful about what's coming out of your mouth. You can't go around talking defeat and expect to have victory. You have to start saying of the Lord, thank you that you're my protector. Thank you that you're shielding me from every plague. Thank you that you're rescuing me from every trap. Thank you, Lord, that I'm going to come out of this touch situation unscathed. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when you're doing the right thing, honoring the Lord in your life, keeping a smile on your face, even when bad things are happening, people are pushing you out, there's politics at the office, don't worry. Those are not your battles. To solve all those issues is not your problem. All we have to do is realize that God's got us. Palm of his hand. He's promised his protection. He's promised to defend us. We don't have to deal with and set every situation right all by ourselves. We have to stay on the high road where we're out of reach of the troubles, out of reach of the darkness. Krishna will hide you when you need to be hidden. He's not going to let that adversary find you, just like he didn't let Karna find Arjuna until he was ready. So he's asking you today, don't live upset. Don't live afraid. Don't waste your time trying to pay people back for those wrongs. Krishna knows how to take care of the opposition. God has ways to protect you that you've never thought of. He knows how to distract your enemies. After all, he's the one that controls the universe. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to know in advance how it's going to happen. All we have to do is believe. Lord, thank you. I believe you're my protector. I believe you're my defender. I believe that you're my way maker. When you have this feeling that the Most High God is guarding your soul, then you can say, I will fear no evil. I'm not going to fear any sickness. I'm not going to fear this opposition. I'm not going to fear for my future. I'm going to stay in peace, knowing that the God who created millions of universes is the guardian of my soul. I'm going to choose to live from a place of peace, not from a place of fear. And let me tell you, when you're in peace, you're powerful. When you know that God is in control, you're going to be strong. You're going to feel an unlimited force sustaining you. But when you're upset and afraid, it's just the opposite. You get drained. Your motivation gets sucked out. Even your immune system is going to suffer. There's a lot of negativity in the world that we can get sucked into. People are universally worried, universally afraid, if not outright panicked. And I know that these threats are real. But our encouragement is, keep them outside. Keep them outside. Don't open the door and let them inside. You can be in a boat in the worst storm. You're going to be okay as long as the water's outside the boat. What you want to avoid at all costs is letting the water inside the boat. You can't watch the news all day long and keep the water out of the boat. You can't constantly take in the negative because you're going to not be able to keep the water out of the boat. If you leave that television on all day long, if you're scrolling through Facebook and Instagram all the time, that's going to sink you right down into a deep, dark pit. Our encouragement is to tune that out. Tune in to what Krishna or God says. In other words, don't let what's on the outside get on the inside. Tune yourself into things that are pure. Tune yourself into things that build you up. Tune yourself into things that are wholesome. Tune yourself into things that have a good report. Find something to watch or to listen to that's uplifting, inspiring, things that build your faith, like KHQN Radio, 1480 in your AM dial. Available anywhere in the world where there's the internet, with a simple app called Simple Radio. My wife and I were in New Zealand and Hawaii recently, and we would plug the cord into the auto CarPlay, and we would hear KHQN Radio wherever we were, worlds away. That's what we're talking about. Feed the inner person. Feed the soul. You're affected by what you're taking in. If you take in garbage, then there'll be garbage. If you take in pure, wholesome, uplifting food, then you'll be strong. You'll be nourished. It's going to lift you up. One of the best things you can feed yourself on are the things that God says about you, His beloved child. You're wonderfully and fearfully made. You're one of a kind. For our part, we thank the Lord. Our days to come are going to be better than the former days. We're going to thank the Lord that what He started in our life, He'll finish. We're going to thank the Lord that He's our protector, our defender, and that He's got us in the palm of His hands. Right now in your life, you may feel like there are bombs literally exploding all around you. Things that should take away your health, stop your business, damage your family. But our message is, don't worry. It's not going to be as bad as it looks. Just chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and nothing can take you out. And one of the characteristics of the things that comes against you is they're usually loud and raucous. Because of the loudness of it, you think, oh God, it must be ferocious. It must be something that's powerful enough to finish me off. But what you can't see is that you have an invisible shield. He's in the hearts of every living being, even those who would do you harm, even those who would betray you. Even though Karna wanted to kill Arjuna, Krishna was in the heart of Karna. He arranged things in such a way that despite his formidable prowess and skill and all of his weapons, he was unable to lay a finger on Arjuna. Krishna knows how to make his devotee invisible to the enemy, and if needed, he knows how to make the enemy visible to the devotee. God gave us the power of sight. God can also withdraw the power of sight. He can hide devotees from their enemies, and He can reveal the enemy's hiding place to His devotees. He has all kinds of ways to protect you, ways that we've never thought of, that we could never imagine. He can make your enemy visible while your enemy thinks he's in a hiding place that's perfect. He can unmask that person who's lying about you. He can turn the tables on that person who's trying to betray you. God, or Krishna, always has the final say. And we don't have to figure it out. All we have to do is stay in that secret place of love, secret place of trust. Stay close under the shelter of His wings. Keep in a mood of praise, a mood of gratitude, knowing that He's protecting us, that He's defending us, that He's got us in the palm of His hand. One last story and we'll finish up here. I heard about a fish. It's called the Moses sole. It's a little flounder that's found in the Red Sea. Also in that water are great large sharks, and they love to eat flounder. It's their favorite fish. But in the 1970s, a group of researchers noticed something fascinating about this little Moses sole. All the other fish in this category would be eaten by the sharks routinely, but they discovered that the sharks were not eating this particular flounder called the Moses sole, and that's because it had a unique defense system. When it's in any kinds of danger, it naturally secretes these poisonous toxins out of its glands. And what happens is these toxins cause the shark's jaw to freeze. So it showed a picture of this little fish swimming around right in the middle of the open shark's mouth. And all the shark had to do was close his mouth and he would have a little hors d'oeuvre. He couldn't close his mouth. He'd come in for the kill and all he had to do was bite down and he'd have dinner. The problem was he couldn't do it. Krishna had put something on this little fish to protect it. And as long as the shark was close, its jaws were frozen. Like this little fish, Krishna has put something on his faithful devotees that will keep their enemies from defeating them. And what you're up against may seem bigger, may seem stronger, may seem more powerful, but our message this evening is don't worry, it can't touch you because you have a hedge of protection around you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. The way you release these toxins, the way you cause the shark's mouth to freeze, so to speak, is by doing what we just did, and we're going to do it again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Every time you acknowledge in this way that you are in the palm of Krishna's hands, toxins are released that will paralyze the enemy. Now, don't go around verbalizing your feelings. True, I'm worried about this sickness. I'm afraid my child's off course. My business is going to go downhill. Negative talk is like bait. It attracts the predators. It will make things worse. The way you activate the protection, the unlimited Lord, is with faith-filled words like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To finish up here, let's just take an image of this little fish. When he's in the shark's mouth, his blood pressure doesn't go up. He doesn't call 911. He doesn't freak out. He doesn't get depressed. He just goes about his business, swinging around happily, because he knows there's something special about him. He knows that he's anointed. He knows that God put something on him from the beginning of the world. He knows also that he'll always be protected from all kinds of enemies as long as he does his job, keeping God first place. A devotee rests in who God created him to be. If you can just get this message down in your spirit, the Most High God is in your heart. He's the guardian of your soul. Created you. He put something in your soul that makes you untouchable to the enemy. Don't go through life worried, upset, afraid, wondering how it's all going to work out. Live from a place of peace, a place of faith, knowing that your guardian, Krishna, is watching over you. Now, if you do this, I believe that Krishna will rescue you from every trap, protect you from every sickness, make you invisible to the enemy. Because Krishna is your refuge. Evil can't get close to you. Harm can't get through the door. You are untouchable in this life and next life. You'll go back to home, back to God. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And we invite you to raise your arms. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.